While you should never count an NBA player out after his first season, the first year of an NBA player's career is often a good basis in determining the player's future success. Today, we will take a look at the lottery picks of the 2019 draft and determine which players have the highest bust potential after their first season. Number 4. Romeo Langford. The Boston Celtics took Romeo Langford with the last lottery pick of the 2019 NBA draft. Coming out of Indiana, the freshman guard was seen as a physical guard who had the ability to create his own shot. Langford was a good scorer, averaging 16.5 points per game on 46% shooting. He could take it to the hole as well as he could pull up for a nice mid-range jumper. Langford was also an excellent defensive player. Standing at 6'4", Langford had the ability to guard backcourt players and wings. His 0.409 points per isolation possession ranked amongst the 93rd percentile in college. He was truly a unique player for Indiana, one who wasn't afraid to take the big shot but also wouldn't mind getting dirty. He was second on the team in rebounds with 5.6 per game and blocks with 26 through 32 games. Unfortunately for the young draftee, he was chosen by a very deep Boston Celtics squad that had already had a plethora of great guards and playmaking. Langford ended up playing in 27 games, averaging 11 minutes per game. In those games, he averaged about 2.6 points per game. Langford was also assigned to split his time with the Maine Red Claws, where he averaged about 11 points per game on 43% shooting in 24 minutes. He paired that with 2.7 rebounds per game and 1.3 assists per game. The Celtics drafted Langford knowing well that he was a raw talent and a project. Luckily for Langford, the Celtics are one of the top NBA franchises in terms of player development. This, coupled with the fact that Langford can practice against all-stars like Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum, should definitely benefit Langford's growth. However, it should be noted that there is no better practice than playing actual minutes in meaningful NBA games. With a deep roster looking for title contention, it is hard to imagine Langford getting meaningful minutes, which may end up stunning his growth as a player. Number 3. Jarek Culver. After losing to Virginia in the 2019 men's NCAA tournament, Jarek Culver was ready to put his college career behind him and shift his focus for the pros. In 2 seasons at Texas Tech, the young guard showed promising skills and a knack for development. Culver finished his sophomore year averaging 18.5 points per game on 46% shooting. He also managed to grab a little under 7 rebounds per game, while dishing out about 4 assists per game. After his performance in the tournament and the championship, Culver managed to greatly increase his draft stock. Most reputable mock drafts had Culver going top 5. Coming out of college, analysts described Culver as being very smooth and a well-rounded offensive player. Culver was also coined as a superior rebounder who had a knack for getting the ball. Taken with the 6th overall pick by the Suns, Culver was quickly traded to the Timberwolves. For Culver, this opportunity could not have been any better. He was going to be part of a young but disappointing team with budding talent. Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins were clearly the center of the franchise, but there was not much promise after these two. Culver was chosen to be that next playmaker and ball handler that could help spark the Timberwolves' offense. After trading Jeff Teague, the Wolves had an even greater hole in their guard rotation, and were looking for someone to establish themselves in that spot. Before the D'Angelo Russell trade, Culver was mainly splitting time with Shabazz Napier at the starting point guard spot. However, things got worse for Culver after the Timberwolves decided to bring up G League player Jordan McLaughlin and traded for D'Angelo Russell. Culver was now reduced to splitting backup time with Jordan McLaughlin and even sometimes third-string time after McLaughlin. Culver finished the season starting 35 out of 63 games he played. In those 63 games, Culver averaged 9 points per game on 40% shooting, while grabbing 3.4 rebounds per game in about 24 minutes per game. The rookie had struggled in other aspects as well, as his assist-to-turnover ratio was 1.7 to 1.3. The 6th overall pick had an underwhelming season, especially on an already poor team. To make matters worse, those close to the team predict that Culver's role next season may not be any better. The Wolves traded for Russell to be their star guard and also see potential in their G League guard, Jordan McLaughlin, who was slightly more productive with lesser minutes. Some say that Culver could remain a third-string guard behind McLaughlin. Culver's lack of production on an already horrible team is quite concerning. With the Timberwolves set to have a top 3 to 5 pick, it would really hurt Culver if they drafted another guard like Melo Ball. Culver must hope that the Timberwolves don't forget about him and come back stronger next season. Number 2. DeAndre Hunter. Coming out of Virginia, it was evident that no other player's draft stock rose like Hunter's did after his performance in the tournament and especially the men's championship. The sophomore forward led his Virginia squad to a title while scoring a career-high 27 points against Texas Tech. Hunter also played excellent defense on Texas Tech's best player, Jarek Culver, holding him to 5 of 22 from the field. Hunter's final year in Virginia was a great one. He averaged 15 points per game on 52% shooting, while grabbing about 5 rebounds per game. He helped Virginia win its first ever national championship and set a team record of 35 wins. Hunter had showed that he was a winning player, a trait attractive to most NBA scouts. He not only had the mentals but also the physicals, as his body was thought to be perfect for the modern day forward. With the first of their 2 lottery picks, the Atlanta Hawks selected Hunter with the 4th overall pick. Hunter was already going top 5 in many mock drafts, so it did not come of much surprise that he was taken here. Coming into the season, it was clear that Hunter's defense would be ahead of his offense. However, after looking back, it could be argued that Hunter failed to even reach the lower bar set on his offensive game. In 32 minutes, Hunter averaged about 12 points per game and 1.8 assists. Hunter was never defined as an offensive playmaker, and with Trae Young dominating most of the usage, the low assist numbers should not be of too much worry. However, such a trend, especially when also averaging 1.6 turnovers per game in the future, should raise an eyebrow since he is a wing player. Taking a deeper dive into Hunter's offensive production, the 12 points per game is neither good or bad, but just average. However, when looking at Hunter's efficiency, it is worrisome that Hunter only shot 41% from the field and only managed to convert 55% of his shots within 4 feet of the basket. The positive note on Hunter's season came after the All-Star break when he played much better basketball. After John Collins came back from his suspension, Hunter was able to play a more off-ball power forward type role, which clearly suited his game better. In the final 13 games of the year, Hunter averaged 13.2 points per game and 7.4 rebounds per game. Amazingly, Hunter shot 42% behind the arc, which was much higher compared to his season average of 35%. Hunter can clearly hold his own on the defensive end. In terms of physique and intensity, Hunter brings everything you could ask for out of the top 5 pick. However, the main area of concern for Hunter's game is on the offensive end. He's not much of a playmaker and has a very limited offensive package. For him to live up to his top 5 pick potential, he needs to really polish his offensive game in all aspects: dribbling, passing, and scoring. Number 1. RJ Barrett. Coming out of high school ranked as the number 1 overall prospect, RJ Barrett had a lot to live up to in his college and now NBA career. At Duke, Barrett had arguably just as impressive season as his running mate and best friend Zion Williamson did. Through 38 games, Barrett had averaged 22.6 points per game on 45% shooting. He also grabbed about 8 rebounds per game and dished out 4 assists per game. Everyone knew that Barrett was going to be a top 3 pick coming out of Duke, and with Williamson and Morant slated to go 1 and 2, most analysts had Barrett being taken 3rd by the Knicks. At college, Barrett's game mostly involved using his incredible 6'7" frame to slash to the basket. While he wasn't the worst jump shooter, it was just much easier for Barrett to dominate at the rim where hardly anyone could contest him. Defensively, Barrett also excelled as a sturdy on-ball defender, allowing 0.551 points per isolation possession. His long body combined with his athleticism allowed him to defend multiple positions. Taken by the Knicks, Barrett had a lot of hype surrounding him coming into the season. Unfortunately, looking back at Barrett's first season, it would be safe to say that Barrett had a rather disappointing year. In about 30 minutes per game, Barrett had averaged 14 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 2.6 assists. While the 14 points per game ranked 3rd amongst all rookies, the scoring efficiency was quite poor as he shot 40% from the field. He also shot only 61% from the free throw line, something that should definitely raise an eyebrow. Many thought that Barrett could also step up and help fill some of the huge holes the Knicks had in playmaking, but Barrett could not do this either. He only averaged 2.6 assists per game, and to make matters worse, turned the ball over 2.2 times per game. The low assist-to-turnover ratio should not come of much surprise considering the fact that he had a 4-to-3 assist-to-turnover ratio at Duke. Obviously, RJ Barrett is still very young and not clearly close to finishing his development. The concerns with Barrett are more skill-based rather than physique-based. Luckily for Barrett, skills unlike physique can be taught. For Barrett, he should look to improve on his overall basketball IQ, specifically on the offensive end, as it was quite clear that Barrett looked lost on the offensive end at times. Barrett must also work on his efficiency, and that not only comes with just taking better shots, but also working on shooting from all areas of the field. If Barrett can develop a more consistent jumper, opponents will have to play him more tightly, making it easier for him to do what he does best, and that is getting to the rim. On the positive end, Barrett has a great attitude when it comes to taking advice, so look for Barrett to improve upon the deficiencies he noticed in his first year's game. In the end, a player's first season will not define his career, but it will set the foundation from what he must build upon. Hopefully these players can work on their deficiencies and come back with a much stronger second year.